Hello, friends. My name's Weston. Alice will be joining me, and today on this episode of not Profoundish. Death Plastic. We're talking about conservation and the environment and death to plastics. You're listening to Death Plastic.
Reminds me of the Monty Python. Yeah.
The coconuts.
The coconuts.
It's not making the right sound. It's making some kind of sound. It's making it smell really nice in here. It still smells. I can still smell it. It's just not. I can't get it to light anymore and stay lit because the oil's getting in the way. This is my sunset guava one.
Sunset guava.
Sunset guava. I had a pine tree one. It was a little one that I had as a Christmas gift a while ago, and I had it on my desk too, but I think I threw it out because it was just a little one. This doesn't fit in my trash can because I need to take my trash out.
Dang.
I want you. Boom, boom, boom. I'm back to finger voice, baby.
Here we go.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, pal. What's going on?
Hey, but I almost feel bad jumping straight into the topic without rambling on about something else for 20 minutes first and then going into my topic.
Hey, before we go into the topic though.
Oh, perfect.
Because we do that a lot. It might be refreshing to go right into a topic, but I do want to read, since we're at the beginning here, recently on one of our Valentine's Day episode, we always put out polls, right? Polls. Dang it.
Polls.
And you can put your little put your 2 cents in there. So what we asked was, which is more romantic? And we gave you 3 options. It was a moonlit picnic, a fancy dinner, or going to the arcade. I wanted to just give, 3 totally different ones. And it was a 50-50 split between moonlit picnic and going to the arcade, which are very different things.
Very different. I wouldn't have thought the arcade as being romantic, but I like it.
Right. Me too. That's kind of why I put it in there. I thought, let's represent a totally different kind of style.
Demographic,
I figured somebody would have said fancy dinner, but maybe fancy dinner's too vanilla.
Yeah.
Too cliche. Yeah.
I think the arcade is a really fun, if you're both kind of gamery people and you want to have fun. I think, especially with maybe what games you choose to play, you know what? My brain went everywhere. I need to calm down. I'm imagining, actually... I got really excited thinking about just me and someone else going on a date playing Time Crisis all night. That would be awesome, actually.
Yeah.
Time Crisis, House of the Dead, one of those shooter ones.
House of the Dead. Oh yeah. I played that one all the time. Well,
you'd like the arcade racers. You'd like the racers.
Oh, I love the racers. Yeah. All my cruisins. I love those games. But no, I love those shooting games too. I was going to say that Steph and I did that as not our first date, but early on, and it was a good icebreaker kind of date. And that's good for anybody, whether it's a date or it's just friends or maybe your coworkers trying to kind of, get to know each other or whatever. That's a good icebreaker because, what arcade are you gravitating towards or what games are you going to, that sort of thing. You can learn a lot about somebody in a fun way.
I wish there, unless there is, and I'm not aware of it, I wish there was a big arcade around here. That would be really fun. There was an arcade bar, and it had classic arcade games or whatever, and it shut down. COVID killed it. But
Dang, I used to go there when I lived in Illinois. Dang.
I think it survived a little bit past COVID, but then it just never came back around.
Yeah. Those places I know usually do better in bigger cities where there's just more likely to be more people who are into that, because that is still... That's a particular kind of, really our age group are the people who go to it, right? The 20 and 30 somethings, the young and kind of older millennials.
Even the people I hate it here. Everyone just wants to go fishing.
Yeah, well,
everyone
hop on their tractor.
Yeah, it's
go for a ride.
There are too many women trying to impress men of a very specific demographic that's not me. They all want to talk about sports and fishing and mudding and like going traveling the world. Everyone's like, I want to travel the world. This year, I'm going to go to 5 countries. No, you're not. Stop trying to impress people. Yeah. Shut up. You're not doing that.
Weston, is this coming from a serious place? It feels like it.
It's definitely not coming from experience. Where we were talking, Alex and I were talking about dating apps, and in our Patreon exclusive. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/Profoundish to support the show. We have some slots open for $1 a month if you would like to support, and we do little mini episodes of the podcast, and they're exclusive to Patreon. And we were talking about dating apps, and like, you'd be surprised how many people like talk about what they like, the type of person they want to be, not the type of person they are on those things. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. And anyway, I hate it here.
Long story short, I hate it here. But anyway, yeah, I think the arcade's fun as an icebreaker. Steph and I did that, and it was a fun little time. When I play the old arcades, I'm going to like, I love what's it called? You're the big monsters, and you gotta save the woman out of the building. Rampage. I love Rampage, and I love my Galagas and my Space Invaders kind of stuff too. It's all fun, but those are kind of what I like to gravitate towards.
I loved that. My first Gauntlet experience was Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and the arcade machine in a pizza place. What was it called? What was it called? I just lost it. Village Inn, over yonder way of Champaign. Used to be an old stomping grounds for birthday parties and stuff for me. That was like the only time I was ever there. They had a arcade cabinet for Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and then eventually my brother and I got it for the PlayStation 2, and we played the crap out of that game. It was so good.
I fell in love with Gauntlet, the series in general, on I don't know if you've ever had this on PS2. I still do. It's the Midway Arcade Classics game.
I never had the arcade classics, but I'm familiar with it. Yeah, Midway Games.
So it had a bunch. That's where I fell in love with a lot of the arcades that, especially when we were young, you couldn't really play anymore. And because they were like from the 80s or whatever. But that's where I fell in love with Rampage. And they had, I don't know if it was the original Gauntlet, but it was one of the really old, much older ones. But that's when I kind of fell in love with that kind of game, and I played a lot since. There's that one that we started to play, I think. It was like the 4-player Gauntlet. Was that one that you're talking about, Gauntlet Legends?
I don't remember starting to play a Gauntlet game with you. There was a newer Gauntlet game that came out, and I say newer, and it came out in like 2014 or something like that. I don't remember. And I think it might have just been called Gauntlet because they were like rebooting the series or whatever. And it was a 4-player one, but I don't remember starting it with you.
I think it was a long time, or maybe we were just playing it as friends. Like I remember playing it with you because you had it and I didn't. I only had the old one. And
there was a Gauntlet Legends that was different though than Dark Legacy. I don't remember.
Oh, Legends. You said Dark Legacy. I was getting them mixed up. I don't know. I want to give, totally random, changing the subject, but I want to give a shout out to another one of my all-time favorites, which is, did you ever play Smash TV?
No, but you introduced it to me because you liked it. A lot, and it was on, what was it then, a Nintendo something 64 or something. It
was ported to the Super Nintendo, but it was originally an arcade game, and surprisingly, because Nintendo's known for kind of cleaning their ports up if they port like a more violent game, they kept the violence in that game, and that game was known for being kind of violent for the time. This is before your Mortal Kombats and all that stuff. But yeah, the idea, the premise of the game, which is wild to think about now, is a game show where it's like post-apocalyptic, not post-apocalyptic, it's not that, but it's way far into the future, and people are watching on their televisions a game show where it's 2 guys with guns killing people. And that's the idea, like killing bad guys, but they're not creatures, they're people. You're just killing a bunch of strong dudes. And it's very graphic for the time, right? And it's just like, that's such a weird concept of just that people just watch it for fun. They're like, the year is 2287. People watch violence for fun. This is, the future is now. And then you go in there. It's so 90s, but I love it. And it's such a great game. It's one of those, what's it called, where you can shoot, well, I guess it's 8 directions if
Yeah.
you do. And then like I can't think what it's called. There's a name for that kind of shooter.
Because it's an overhead shooter, kind of like imagine the original Legend of Zelda. It looks like that's the camera angle, and then you can shoot in 8 directions.
Right.
So you've got your
there's other
up,
games that have
down,
come
left,
out
right.
since then. There's a name for it, but there's like a zombie killing game that's like that I played on the PS3 that had that same style, but it was like 3D, which was kind of cool. But anyway, it's just a fun game. Super Smash TV.
Arcade, possibly good dating option right there. I like the idea. And you can just do
Boom.
you can do Just Dance or something. Or Dance Dance Revolution,
Test out
little
your
DDR.
dancing skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Moonlight Picnic option, would have been a good one as well.
I like Moonlight Picnic, yeah.
I almost had a picnic. I've not had a picnic date yet. I almost had a picnic date. It never came to fruition.
Oh.
Rest in peace, the picnic date. It didn't
I thought you were about
happen.
to say, rest in peace, Rebecca Johnson, who lives on 27 4th Street.
She didn't make it. She didn't make it.
But if you guys find her,
she was 104. Like I wasn't sure we'd make it.
Yeah.
You know me, gold digging as always.
That's right. They call him Gold Diggin' Mo.
They don't. But they
They
sure
don't call
do.
him that. They've never heard that.
But everyone that voted in that poll, great. If you want to vote in whatever the poll is for this episode, do so, and we might read the answers, the responses in a future episode.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure where I was going. Like I started a sentence. I'm like, what am I trying to say or promote right now?
I totally
really had
feel
to,
that.
I was like,
I can feel
it. Just the slow. Okay, and if like letting the
But I
thoughts
trust you.
form.
Like I'm sure I've done that a million times too, and I'm sure you've heard it in me. But like we've both been doing this long enough. It's like I trust he'll figure it out. He'll get there. Like I'll just let you go.
Started talking before all of the thinking happened. But also moving on to the topic. Thank you for saving me because I felt awkward starting right into the topic. Now we got our little small talk, a little chatting section out of the way. I want to ask you, what do you think of the environment?
Oh my gosh. I think a lot about the environment.
I hope you do, because in today's episode of Death Plastic, the podcast, we're back on our alternate podcast episodes.
Death Plastic.
Death Plastic. The episode about conservation and the evils of littering and plastic and stuff like that, and how they're bad for the environment. That's right. Yeah.
Who did this one?
It was me. You gave me the words were death, plastic, and something else, and I went back and forth. Like Death Plastic sounds like a good metal band name. I was like, but Plastic Death would be a good podcast name. And then at the last second before we moved on, I swapped back to Death Plastic because I just really liked Death Plastic.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I think you're wrong because I love Plastic Death. There's something there.
Death. Either way, both ways, honestly. Like, again, Death Plastic sounds like a good metal band. But Plastic Death also sounds like a good, if you're still thinking music, that sounds like a good music title, like a song title, though.
Yeah.
Plastic Death. Well, actually, there is a song called Plastic Love. So that might be
well,
why.
and I have a song called Plastic Dreams. So I could always do I could do the. Of course, then again, if that song were happier, I could do the opposite and call it Plastic Death and do like the cynical version. But Plastic Dreams is also kind of be not too happy, so it couldn't be the opposite. But that'd still be a fun title.
It wouldn't be the opposite. You just go in deeper.
This
right?
is deeper,
This
exactly.
is Plastic Dreams After Dark. We're going into Plastic Death now. It's the extended version.
I have a story to tell, I guess. This has to do with, you're not going to believe this, it has to do with the environment and arcades. So what a great segue.
Oh my God, the fates have aligned. I want to hear this.
No, I want to start, I mean, this is loose. It kind of has to do with the environment. This is kind of like a littering story. And this is actually, so I am not a litterer. I'm proud to say that I'm not. I am against littering. However, it's not that I have never littered, because I'm also not a liar. So I have littered before. And this was actually on that date with Steph. And it was still really early on in our relationship to where I was really, you want to leave a good impression. And I remember being very, like, my brain was kind of so scattered at the time because I was so happy to be with with this girl, and she was interested in me, and I was interested in her, and things are going well. But sometimes I'd forget my train of thought, or I would, leave things like I'd leave my keys somewhere and have to go get them. I was just so excited, And we were playing an arcade game. Can't remember which one it was. And I just remember I had a plastic cup that I had some sort of beer in, but I finished it. And there was the cabinet right there with it. The cabinet had a holder, had a drink holder in it.
Yeah.
And there was a garbage can right next to it, right? Or a recycle or whatever. And
it's so much worse.
I know. And you know exactly what I did. I thought, hey, let's go play another game, Steph. She's like, okay. So Steph is very environmentally conscious. I'd say more so than I am. And I remember it's okay, let's go. So I finished my drink, put it right there on the arcade, and we just walked away. And she said, what was that all about? There's the recycle was right there. Why'd you... And I would have thrown it in there, but I just wasn't thinking. I thought, okay, let's go. I was too excited, but I couldn't over-explain that to her at the time because it'd be like, yeah, sure, buddy, you just like to litter, So I just kind of took that one. I just kind of took that bullet. But I remember feeling so small and like a piece of crap human being at that time because it's right there. You could have just tossed it right there, dude. And instead you're like, okay, let's go to the next one, So I did do that once.
And then you have to explain it why. And you're like, I don't have a why. Brain no work. I was nervous.
I will say, though, it does drive me nuts when you're driving down the freeway and you could just tell that somebody blatantly just took trash from their car and just threw it out the window.
Yeah.
Really,
I've seen it
dude?
happen. I've watched it happen on the highway where it's just someone driving way ahead of me. I just see something go flying out of their window. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's even worse. Have you no shame? You just do it? You don't care? I don't know.
I mean, you'd have to not care. That's the only rationale I can think of. It's not... I can't imagine an emergency where my plastic McDonald's cup or something really has to get out of my car right this second or I'm gonna explode. It's right?
Yeah.
It can't be an emergency. It can't be life or death that you remove your trash this moment. So it's gotta just be you simply don't care and it's currently in your car and you don't want it to be. So you just yeet it out the window. I don't know.
It's because you think about that thought process and it's I don't want to take the time to bring this into my home in 10 minutes and throw it in the garbage there. I'm just trying to find the rationale there. It's I guess that's it. I don't want to... It's laziness. I know that. It's laziness. But it's I don't want to take the time, I guess. Maybe it's going to cost me one extra trip back to the car to get the garbage because I have my purse with me or whatever. I don't know. But I don't get it. I can't believe you've seen it. I've never seen it. I've never seen somebody throw crap out the window, but I've definitely seen plenty. You always see it too when you're getting ready to enter a heavily populated area, like a big city. That's when all the trash and just all that stuff is. When I'm sure you've seen it too. When you enter, not trying to throw shade here, but one of the dirtiest cities I've ever seen is St. Louis. And I know that I like St. Louis. If anyone's from St. Louis, no shade. I love the City Museum. It's a cool place. It's a cool town, but it's dirty. And anytime you but it's dirty. Anytime you go into that drive-through there, I swear to you, there's always a bunch of crap all over the roads. And it's just it's probably one of those things where when you're driving in, it's well, they're doing it. I guess I can do it too. Whatever. I'll just add to it. Someone's going to clean it up.
And a lot of times, no. Your trash might not be getting cleaned up by anybody. It's just permanently a part of the streets now.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that gets me the most is all the plastic stuff. Plastic death! All the plastic stuff that you find. I feel better if there's trash that's biodegradable, like paper or something like that. I've definitely been in a situation where it's a windy day. I'm getting out of my car. I've got to-go food or something I'm trying to bring inside, and napkins or something goes flying out of my hand. And I'm well, I could go chasing it down because it's trash, but it's also paper. So I'm just gonna let it ride, and it'll rain one day, and it'll become a part of the earth once again. whatever. I feel better if it's something I know is going to be biodegradable. But if it's like plastic and it's like, that's just going to, and then you start thinking about the turtles and the like, the plastic things that come with the cans, like canned soda or whatever. You start thinking about the turtles. I'm not anywhere close to an ocean, but you're like, some animal's going to eat it if it's plastic because animals are dumb, I guess. Like, I mean, you know what? I go back and forth on this. Plastic is not natural. Animals don't find plastic in nature. Like,
right.
But also they do though. Like, plastic's been around for long enough that, like, I think there's got to be, evolutionarily speaking, there's got to be at least the start of animals are going to be recognizing human trash as being inedible sooner or later, because everything that eats human trash is gonna die. But besides, like, roaches, I guess. I don't know. At what point does our trash become such a big biohazard that animals now have to evolve to recognize that it's a biohazard, because anything else that takes the chance to eat it dies? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? How many generations of animals?
Well, it's probably a slow process that's already begun happening. I mean, you think about how much trash we make just a day. And, like, I don't know, like, you drive in the middle of nowhere and you see those giant landfills. And you just think about how many of those are there? And, like, everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised I don't see them more often, but then again, I'm also far away from them, and those things are huge.
Yeah, so they purposely put those things further away from populated areas because it seeps into the groundwater, and it's literally poison.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Right.
It's bad for the environment. And then, two, like, you don't want to live close to that. It stinks.
God, there's so much. Well, trust me, I played SimCity. I know that. You know, that's a big
SimCity. Yeah, I think SimCity helped open my eyes to it a little bit too, because you got to put a landfill somewhere, and you're like, but there's no good place. I want to put city here.
Right. Well, actually, SimCity got you thinking about a few things. It got you thinking about kind of pollution too, because, like, you could choose, you know, what power source you wanted. If you want to do coal, like, it's worse for the environment, or you could do, you know, the, like, like wind energy, but it takes, you know, it's more expensive or whatever. And you know, I'm not saying that SimCity, you know, completely changed my life with it, but it did get me to think about stuff I never did before as a kid, stuff like that.
Like, I learned to just, like, not approve of coal power plants that way. It's like, they're objectively terrible in any way. Like, there is always going to be a better option.
Right. Side note, but I actually just saw a video from LGR, and he was talking about SimCity 3000, which is my personal favorite.
I like 3000, yeah.
It is 25 years old this year.
Good Lord.
Like, where the hell is this time going? It is ridiculous. Like, it does not feel that old to me. But whatever. That's kind of a side note. You know, you got me thinking about, like, preventative measures and little things that you can do and stuff.
Yeah.
And I recently discovered, not recently, it's been a little while. I want to invest in them because they're a little more expensive, but those... Because I'm a big plastic bag guy, or a Ziploc bag, right?
Okay.
And there's now reusable ones. Have you seen those?
Not specifically, but I'm not surprised. Now that you mention it, yeah, that would be a good thing to have on hand. Is just a bunch of reusable ones you can just wash. You just throw them in the sink and just clean them.
Yeah, exactly. And they're more expensive, but I mean, you can reuse them. So it's
right.
In the long run, I'll probably end up spending less. I do want to get those. Steph has a few, and it's because I go through. I don't know about you, but I go through so many of those because I'll make food, and that's what I use. Like, I put leftovers in, or all kinds of stuff. And that's a big thing. I don't know, but yeah, that back to your thought about the evolutionarily speaking, like how animals recognize non-natural things, and I'm sure that process has already started. Yeah.
One of the other big ones for me, you have the reusable bag, because I like plastic bags over, like, paper bags, because, like, you're not cutting down trees for paper bags, but then plastic you can reuse. Even, like, grocery shopping bags, you can reuse those. So I was always, like, a plastic bag guy over a paper bag guy, so long as you are reusing them and putting them to use. But, like, the one thing that does bother me, and has always bothered me, but I just don't know what else to do about it, is batteries. So I buy rechargeable batteries. I keep a charging stand and rechargeable batteries because I don't like throwing away batteries into the trash. If you read the packaging, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to find like a plant to recycle them or whatever. Then you have to figure out where that is. And it's like I have 2 batteries. I'm not making a trip for 2. So it ends up in the trash. And the thing that kills me is if you throw batteries into the trash, like we were talking about the landfill, I know this battery acid and all these chemicals are getting into groundwater somewhere, and it's going to kill something. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I always lean towards rechargeable batteries. Eventually, you use batteries over and over again enough that like they don't last as long, but you just put them back into the charging stand. So I keep them on rotation. So it's like once it's dead, it goes into the charger, and I take the 2 that are in the charger and put them back. You know, you just keep swapping.
Well,
over and over again.
Even if you do have to end up eventually trashing those 2, you're doing it a heck of a lot less frequently than you would be just throwing away batteries.
Yeah, buying new batteries over and over again. So
yeah, I mean that's any little bit that you can do. You know, I've always heard the arguments too from people where it's like, I mean, it's too little, too late, and like maybe it is, but how much work or effort does it really take for you to kind of maybe help make some changes now? I've never understood the whole like too little, too late thing. It's like, yeah, I mean, you know what I'm trying to say.
I feel like if it's me, myself, and I am not going to make a major impact on the environment for positive or good by myself. But like,
of course not.
It's living a certain way that I know minimizes the impact to a certain extent, and then in living that and sharing that lifestyle and communication with others or whatever, I feel like helps progress society in the right direction. It's very heady stuff, right? So like with the batteries thing, I'm a big rechargeable battery guy. So when I talk to people about batteries, I'm, oh, well, I just do this. And then if someone's like, oh, that's a good idea, and they adopt that, that's how you kind of like incorporate and ingrain these ideas in a major way eventually. Like I'm a big no straw guy. Not because so much of there was always that like when people started outlawing plastic straws because of the turtle video, you know, you've probably seen it with turtle with a straw up its nose, which again, there's no reason trash should be ending up in our oceans. What the hell?
Right.
Like keep their landfills away from water sources. Like again, we're talking about anyway. I don't get it. I live in the middle of the country, so there's no oceans. So I don't know how it ends up in the ocean. But anyway, point being, I got to a point where it's like, unless I'm driving somewhere, I don't need a straw. Because the only reason you need a straw while you're driving is because like if you're driving, it's bumpy or whatever, you don't want to spill all over yourself. You need a lid and straw or whatever. But if I'm at a restaurant, I don't need a straw for like my water or my soda or whatever. I'll just drink out the glass. Because I remember growing up with this sort of sense that drinking out of a cup, like a glass cup at a restaurant without a straw, was gross for some reason, because you'd have to put your lips on this cup and you don't know how many people have used the cup. But I'm like, but the liquid's already inside the cup. The liquid I'm consuming is already touching the cup. I'm like, whatever risk I'm taking whether I use a straw or not. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So at one point I had this realization, like, I don't need a straw. The beverage doesn't taste better with a straw. I'm a strawless guy now. Like, that's one of them for me. And that's what I tell people. It's like, do you really need the straw? Again, unless you're taking it to go because you're driving.
But there's also solutions, because there's some straw lovers out there.
Yeah.
I know that.
And you can get a metal straw or one of those paper ones or whatever.
So I was going to say, Steph loves her metal straw. She's got these metal ones and these silicone ones, but you can just wash them and use them again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same way as you, though. If I don't have to, I'm not gonna. I'm fine just using my mouth. Like, I know that...
like God intended.
That's right. Like the good Lord intended.
With my mouth.
With my mouth. Sometimes I just take my hand and just suck it up.
Well, that's a good point. Brain blast, because I grew up when brushing your teeth, you'd have a Dixie cup for water to like swirl or gargle or whatever, growing up with little cups. And at some point in time, my brain snapped and said, I don't need a freaking cup to like just spit. So like I would spit, and if I needed more water, I would cup my hand under a faucet, get a little water, sucked up, and get a little swish going and spit. I don't need to waste a whole Dixie cup to spit. I can spit just fine without the help.
We don't really see Dixie cups anymore.
They're out
Like,
there. Oh, they're
I'm
out
sure
there.
they're out there. I know trust me, they're out there.
They're out
I
there.
want to know that. I want to know that story. Like, what
It's
experience
so-
did he have?
Well, I just know for a fact that I think my parents still buy Dixie cup because, again, like I said, I grew up on it. I think they still buy
Sure.
them. I've still definitely seen them out in the wild where it's like, oh yeah, you can. Which there's a time and a place where they're convenient, but like if you're at home, I don't see the purpose because like if you want a spitting cup, you can just get like a reusable cup that you would wash, and that would be your sink cup or something. I don't know. I don't buy them myself because I don't see the point to ever anymore.
Right.
And that's to me, that's less paper waste.
Well, speaking of less paper waste, I was going to bring this up a little bit earlier. I don't know if they're the only state, but you know what Colorado is about to do or is doing now?
No,
I
don't keep up with Colorado news.
The state, I think I only know because we've taken a lot of trips there the last couple of years because it's such a beautiful state. Anyway, it's either been implemented this year or maybe it's 2025, but statewide, plastic bags are banned from
really
from being used in any sort of public establishment. Mm-hmm. So you have to use like your reusable, like I use these reusable like cloth, like canvas for my groceries and stuff. Yeah, you can. Yeah. But yeah, they're going to be no public establishment, like no grocery stores are going to be allowed to distribute or sell, or not sell, but use plastic bags anymore. And I think that's a welcome change. Like, and that's such a great way. And it's like the bags, you can still get a bag. They still exist. Spend a couple bucks, get a reusable bag. It's less of a, it doesn't change your life. It just, changes a little bit of your routine maybe if you're used to doing something one way. But I think that's a smart thing to do. And it seems like a small change, but because kind of like what you were saying earlier, it's going to be, it is a bigger change because it's statewide. Yeah. And everybody buys groceries.
That's a mandated change. So that's a little bit different because now you're going to have people pushing back against that. Because I can already think of many instances where I do prefer a plastic bag because if it's a paper bag, not talking about canvas, if it's a paper bag, paper rips. Paper can be a lot more flimsy than plastic.
Yeah.
I work in the restaurant business. There are lots of times where it's like I've got too much stuff I'm trying to deliver, and in a paper bag, it's just simply not working. It's not a good idea. So I can think of instances where a plastic bag is just better in that regard. But if you get to a point, especially in America where a lot of people do just drive, if you're in a situation where there's a lot of driving or a lot of traveling, even if you do a lot of walking, maybe carry a book bag with you or whatever, if you have some kind of bag you carry with you, then it'd be easier to just say, oh yeah, you don't need a paper bag or a plastic bag. You're probably carrying a bag with you already if you're going the route of like making canvas more normalized. Because my biggest issue with canvas bags is that if you don't reuse them, and I'm not saying you necessarily throw them away, if you're one of those people that, I got a canvas bag and I take it with me when I go grocery shopping, but like 9 times out of 10 you forget to. A canvas bag to manufacture hurts the environment more than a paper bag or a plastic bag if you only use it once or twice or 3 times. You need to use it a lot of times before it's better, and then it's objectively better. But if you only use it once or a couple times, you're not getting enough use out of it to make the manufacture.
That's an interesting point because there's no way to track,
right.
If these people buy it once and they throw it away and never use it again. I haven't thought about that. I didn't realize that. But
it's easy to forget the actual manufacturing process, like at the factory, like how much waste goes into making a product there versus just the waste that you make.
Right.
So.
At the end of the day, it's like there's no way to just not affect the environment in like a negative way. It becomes it basically becomes more or less of a what's the best way where we can just pull back on this, whether it's at the front end or at the end, the back end. Yeah, and I think Colorado's the only state that's doing that, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But I thought that was just an interesting. Well, you could also talk about. No, this isn't mandated. I know particular car manufacturers are doing this though, but it's not like a mandated thing. Where I can't remember who it is. I don't know if it's Ford or Chevy or whatever. But by like 2030. A couple big manufacturers are saying no more like traditional
Seatbelts.
vehicles. No more seat belts.
No more seatbelts.
No more airbags. Let's go, baby.
That's just unnecessary. Too much product goes into making the metal on the little clicks. Too much.
There is a big car manufacturer who's saying 2030 or 2035, one of those years, like they are no longer going to be producing like kind of traditional cars. Like they're just going to be
that
going
use gas.
electric.
Yeah,
that use gas. I don't know who that is though. I can't remember.
It's going to be really interesting because California already has like a thing on sale of gas powered cars is like already outlawed or being outlawed. I don't keep up with California, but they do have something like that, whereas the sale of new cars have to be electric in that state. So I think you've got these manufacturers seeing the writing on the wall where more people are preferring electric. My biggest issue is that I don't think the infrastructure is there yet. Now, granted, maybe it'll just get pushed along to get to that point. I fear that in terms of the power grid, we're not there yet. And then in terms of people actually having access to a way to charge a car, like I'm thinking like in my apartment complex where I live, where would I plug in my car? I don't have my own house. I can't pull into my garage, plug into my plug and charge my car overnight. I don't have a garage. So people that live in apartment style type situations, but also can't just walk everywhere. Like I'm not in Chicago or Las Vegas or New York. I can't walk where I need to go. So like I need to be able to drive. So I would have to have a way of charging that like ideally isn't, I have to like go from where I live and sneak over to the grocery store or something like that and use their charging station. Because that's what I've heard people say that when I complain about electric cars. It's like, I would love an electric car, but I'd have no way to charging it. Oh, well, just go to such and such place and charge there. I'm like, so I just need to go to another place of business, have no plan on doing business there to steal their like.
Yeah,
it's not feasible if everyone now has to do that. It works if I'm the only one doing that, but if everyone's doing that, that's a problem.
It's going to be a very, very long time when everybody's on board with it. To all degrees. I mean, I know that's the direction. We all know that's the direction. But, and once again, these are just particular manufacturers. I think one of them I just read, I was just looking while you were saying that. I think Mercedes-Benz is one of them going completely. Nissan's another one. But like, you're not seeing Chevy, you're not seeing Ford, you're not seeing, there's, it's going to be much longer. But I forgot about the California thing, but that is true. Yeah, like no more manufacturing. At least from that point going forward. So I don't know, because that's obviously a big one, but like people have been very aware of that for a long time. I mean, that's one reason why, if not the biggest reason why carpooling exists. Yeah. A way to, and it's kind of like, that goes back to what we said. That's still affecting the environment, but having one vehicle with 5 people versus 5 separate vehicles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then say, different workplaces are all doing that. I mean, that does make a difference. I don't know how many people actually carpool anymore. To me, the thought of carpooling now sounds like something that we wouldn't want to do anymore because everyone wants to, they do their own thing. But
meet cutes aren't real anymore. People don't interact in person in real life. We talked about
Find me somebody who interacts in real life. Find me. I bet you can't find it.
We have all become introverted, and especially in a post-COVID world, we don't want to be breathing the same air as other people. We all want to wear our Apple Vision Pros and a gas mask and just exist in an augmented reality. Yeah,
well, we do, but you see these towns, you especially see them outside of the U.S. Not that the U.S. doesn't have these places, but there's a lot of European cities and towns that are much more like bicycle and walking friendly.
Bicycle, yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. And that actually goes into a whole conversation just about how American cities are built and everything, but in like city planning and all that. But you're right when you talk about the cities in general, even if you talk about Chicago or you talk about other big towns and stuff, even those are going to be more walkable than like your small size city, like the one you live in. And that makes a big difference. I mean, but at the same time though, There's still a million cars out there, like
So many.
yeah, there's so many cars. Like you try to go into Chicago, it's going to take you an hour just to get off the freeway, just to get into town. Like it's
almost
terrible.
at a point where like in the big city, like your Chicago's, your LA's, your New York's, like it blows my mind that anyone drives, period. Like the streets are always busy. Well, a lot of people don't, but then it's like, they like LA traffic is something I hear about all the time. It's like, why does anyone drive at all? Like if it's going to take you like to go 1 mile in a car in LA is going to take you half an hour or more, then why do you bother? So the really big urban settings, urban planning just needs to be better to make cities, one, more walkable so that driving isn't a necessity, and two, like public transit just needs to be a more like worthwhile experience, right? Like a better experience somehow, where you can get to where you need to go, not only quickly, but like in a timely manner, but like also reliably. So like when a bus is supposed to be there at 3, it's going to be there at 3 and not 3:17, 3:23 or whatever. Where it's like so that you can rely on it.
Yeah, talk about like in a perfect world, which doesn't exist, but in a perfect world, just having public transportation systems. Whether it's like, what if that were it? Nobody had their cars. You just took the bus, you just took the railway, you just took what's the underground one? What's that called? You just take the subway.
the underground one.
The underground one. What's that one called?
That was a big story. I follow some weeb type stuff on YouTube from time to time. Mm-hmm. I don't consider myself a weeb, but like speaking of Japan, there was like a thing like a while ago. There was this Japanese train company or whatever that had to issue a public apology because their train was running 22 seconds too early.
Oh my God.
They had to issue an apology because they had left a train station 22 seconds too early and they were 22 seconds ahead of schedule. And they had to apologize.
Wake up, America!
And I'm like, you could not possibly find that anywhere else in the world. And I'm like, man, that is efficiency. That is wow. That is insane.
That's speaking my language. I like
that news story, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? 22 seconds early? Okay. All right.
Oh my gosh.
But
I like that.
I have a little bit as we're going to move into our next segment. I've got a couple of quizzes we're going to do, potentially 2 quizzes. I don't know how long they are, but I'm going to quiz ourselves on exactly how conservation conscious we are on the other side of our little break here.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Profoundish is brought to you in part by Magic Man Mo, a gaming YouTube channel run by me. We stream and we do variety Let's Plays. Check out a short stream compilation to see if it's something that you're going to be into. It's a lot of fun. I made it, so I know. That's Magic Man Mo on YouTube.
Profoundish is brought to you in part by Alex Duquette Medleys. I make theme song medleys, which is where I take a bunch of theme songs and mash them up into one bite-sized song. From Nickelodeon to Adult Swim, I cover it all. So, if you want to take a fun nostalgic trip, search my name, Alex Duquette, on YouTube, or go to alexduquette.net.
Okay, Alex, welcome back from the other side of the break. I got 2 quizzes. I don't know how long they are, and I have no idea what the solutions are. I don't know anything about these quizzes. I just thought it would be fun to take a couple of environmentalist quizzes. Which one do you want to take first? I've got, what kind of environmentalist are you? And I've got, how much do you know about environmental literacy?
Ugh. Let's start with how much we know, and then we can learn what kind of environmentalist we are.
All right.
I think that's a good order to go.
We'll start with this one. This one I feel like feels more serious. Action requires education. How much do you know about environmental literacy? Test your knowledge with our quiz. This is coming from earthday.org. And question number 1, I'm going to fail immediately. I'm failing this one immediately. Which day is Earth Day?
Oh, God.
The options are April 22nd, December 21st, August 12th, and October 31st.
It's April 22nd.
Okay, I'm going to put it down. I'm like, for me, this could be August. I know it's not December 21st, and I know it's not October 31st. So it's a 50-50 shot for me.
I know it's in the spring, so April's it.
I didn't even know that. I just knew it wasn't in December, and I knew it wasn't in October. That's it. April 22nd, correct. Earth Day falls on April 22nd. This is a nearly 50-year-old tradition established in 1970, dedicated to bringing the environment to the forefront. There's more to read there, but I'm going to just stop right there.
Okay.
Next question. Which was the first book to set the stage for society to change and becoming more environmentally aware? The options are The Lorax by Dr. Seuss, The Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan, Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, and Population Bomb by Paul Ehrlich. Or Ehrlich. My vote is on The Lorax, because that would have been the soonest I knew as a kid. We talked about Dr. Seuss on the podcast.
Yeah. Let's do it.
You want to go with Lorax? Let's go with Lorax. I don't even know the other ones. It is wrong. Apparently it's
of course.
Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. Published in 1962. Silent Spring was an extraordinary book that opened the public's eyes to the dangers of DDT, the first broadly used synthesized pesticide, to wildlife and human health. Apparently, it was also due to the public outcry raised by Silent Spring, DDT was banned in 1972. I did know that there was a big DDT issue back in the day, but I didn't know much more than that. The 70s were a little bit before our time.
A little bit.
The one that I always remember is, do you remember the big thing about like aerosol cans were like killing the ozone?
Oh, yeah.
I remember that one. That was a bigger one to me. So if the ozone comes up, then I'll be like, aerosols, bad. True or false? The idea for Earth Day came from Gaylord Nelson.
False.
I'm clicking false. Wrong. The answer was true. I don't know who Gaylord Nelson is. The idea for a national day to focus on the environment came to U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson after witnessing the ravages of the 1969 massive oil spill in Santa Barbara, California.
Oh.
And inspired by the student anti-war movement, Senator Nelson announced the idea for a national teach-in on the environment to the national media. So Gaylord Nelson.
I kind of made the assumption that was established, or kind of it came from the presidential administration at the time, which was, what was that, Johnson or Nixon? So I
could not tell you.
It's either I think it was Nixon administration at the time. Yeah,
I'm not a very good history buff. Like I just can't grasp.
I know my presidents. Don't forget, Weston. Remember, we once ranked all the presidents based on how attractive they are,
on how we did do that.
How sexy they are.
That was on my Magic Man Mo YouTube channel. We ranked presidents by how sexy we thought they were on a tier list, S through F, or S through D, or something like that.
Yep.
That was interesting.
I
don't think people on stream were as enthused about that topic as we were. That's okay. True or I think this is only a 10-question quiz, everybody. True or false? Throughout its history, Earth Day has only been supported by Democrats. I don't know why this got weirdly political, but I have no idea the answer. There's got to be Republicans out there. Yeah, throughout its history, Earth Day has only been supported by Democrats. Is that monetarily?
What's that mean? Right.
Legislation? I don't have context for this.
Regardless if it's monetarily, whatever, that has to be false. It's not. Nothing's completely black and white. I'm sure. Yeah,
that's false is correct. Support for the environment has never been just a partisan effort. In fact, the first Earth Day in 1970 was created as a bipartisan effort, and their co-chair of the original teach-in was Pete McCloskey, a Republican congressman. I was gonna say, like, this felt like bait. I'm like, if this is true and it turns into like a Democrat like propaganda piece, I'm gonna be a little ruffled. I'm gonna be a little ruffled here. All right. I could see why someone would believe that, but again, that's when you lean into like the propaganda. Okay, By the end of 1970, the year of the first Earth Day, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, was created. Which of the following acts was not passed that same year? the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, Endangered Species Act, or the Marine Mammal Protection Act.
It was, which one wasn't that year?
Wasn't that year. And then the year would have been 1970, so we're talking around the same era right after the DDT stuff. So I'm kind of leaning towards clean air and clean water probably happened, if I had to guess.
That's what I was thinking too.
And the other two are endangered species and marine mammal protection. I feel like you couldn't possibly have had the marine mammal and then not endangered species, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was
thinking
say marine mammal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's
correct.
All right.
We logicked through that one. By the end of 1970, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act had all been passed in a series of landmark environmental victories. However, the marine mammal one came later. True or false?
Right.
Earth Day is the one and only day during the year that you should care about the environment and act to protect it.
True.
Okay, true. Yeah, absolutely. That's the only day you should care. Obviously, the answer that's going to be false, but I'm not going to get into why.
So,
because
you know what this sounds like?
Yeah.
This sounds like whoever made this quiz was running out of things to ask. They needed to hit their quota of 10.
I know. After all of that, like history conversation, they hit me with question number whatever that was 6, where they're like, "The only day you should care." You've been halfway through this quiz, but there's a chance you're still not getting the message.
Oh my gosh.
True or false? In 2016, the Paris Agreement was signed on Earth Day. I thought the Paris Agreement happened. Didn't the Paris Agreement actually lapse in 2016? Because that was like a Trump decision, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's false, right? Apparently we're wrong. Apparently it's true.
Oh.
On Earth Day 2016, 174 countries in the European Union signed the Paris Agreement at the opening ceremony at United Nations headquarters in New York. I'm just skimming through to see if it's... 2016 feels like, unless I'm thinking of a different Paris Agreement, I thought that was a whole thing. 2016 feels like another lifetime ago.
Yeah, I mean, it says, 22nd of April, 2016.
Okay, it really did.
Yep.
True or false? In the USA, there are comprehensive national standards regarding environmental education. I'd say that's probably a true.
Yeah.
Apparently it's wrong. There are no national standards regarding environmental education in the U.S. Environmental education is treated on a state-by-state basis. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
like education is state regulated, so I guess that you know what I think I read into that too much. There's no national standard, but it's state by state.
That makes complete sense. Yeah.
Gotcha. Which of these statements is false? Environmental education increases public awareness and knowledge. Okay, that seems true. Environmental education advocates a particular viewpoint. All right, that seems pretty straightforward. Environmental education teaches individuals critical thinking skills, and environmental education enhances an individual's problem-solving and decision-making skills. That's like the same thing stated twice.
Yes, that is the same thing.
I don't know which one of these is false. I guess probably the particular viewpoint one. That goes back into the propaganda one again.
I guess, yeah. Everything else seems extremely true. I mean, they all kind of felt true, but...
Yep. That's what they're saying. Environmental education advocates a particular viewpoint is the false one. Probably because, like, environment stuff isn't, like, a political thing. I think that's what they're going for there.
Yeah, okay.
And I think this might be the last one. What was the purpose of the National Environmental Education Act passed by Congress in 1990 to require that the United States Environmental Protection Agency be a leader in promoting environmental literacy, to establish the Office of Environmental Education, both A and B, or none of the above? This is probably an A and B type thing.
Yep, A and B. That's what I was thinking.
Apparently wrong. Just A.
Oh, man.
To require that the United States, and it just faded out of existence to me. We got 5 out of 10.
Oh, God.
Environmental literacy specialist. You are an environmental literacy specialist. I don't think I believe that.
Yeah.
You are probably an active participator in all things that have to do with saving the planet, and you love
But this is for 5 out of 10?
For 5 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, it's 50%.
Environmental events. Earth Day is your favorite day of the year. and you understand the ways in which you can make a difference. You've got it down and soon will be an environmental literacy expert.
I can only imagine what 10 out of 10 tells you.
You are an environmental god.
Right, exactly.
Mother Nature is your wife.
Right.
That was our literacy.
All right.
I feel like most of that history stuff was just like, I don't know, I just didn't encounter that kind of stuff, so I didn't know. Let's do what kind of environmentalist are you?
Now that we know that we are environmentalist specialists.
We're specialists.
Right.
This comes from sierraclub.org.
Shout out to Sierra
What
Club.
kind of environmentalist quiz? What kind of environmentalist are you quiz? We've got, my favorite way of getting around is A, my bike, B, public transit, C, driving my car, D, walking.
I mean, we're probably... Is it my favorite way of getting around?
My favorite way of getting around.
Well, I mean, the way I get around the most, and I'm sure it's for you too, I mean, it's car.
It's, car. Like, that's,
Got to be
I
honest.
mean, I like to go on a leisurely walk, but I don't like to go, like, if I have to go shopping, I don't want to be walking. You know, I want to throw my bags in the car, you know? It's just easy.
Right.
When I take climate action, I, A, write a letter to the editor of my local newspaper. Nerd.
Nerd alert.
B, sign an online petition. C, skip the straw with my soda. We talked about
Oh my
this.
gosh.
D, participate in local climate marches. I think neither of us do the straw thing, so we should go with skip the straw.
Yeah. Yep. I was going to say, I most relate to that one.
Yeah, we talked about that one. When dining with my extended family, I, A, ask what everyone's doing to stop climate change.
Oh my gosh.
Nerd.
Right.
B, discuss vegan and vegetarian recipes. C, avoid talking about climate change. D, pass around a phone so everyone can call their members of Congress and demanding bolder climate legislation.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine that? This says with your extended family, so I don't know what all that entails, but imagine showing up to dinner with like some friends or whatever, and your nerd ass friend pulls out their phone. We're calling Congress now. Action happens now.
Happy Thanksgiving, Uncle Bob. We're calling Congress.
We're calling Congress I mean, like, if you do that, if you're listening to this podcast and you do that, bless you. But like, but really?
I know, right?
At dinner?
Seriously. Out of those, I most relate, I guess, to vegan and vegetarian recipes. There's vegan and vegetarian eaters in my family, but...
You know, to be honest, we were talking about, was that on the Patreon? You were talking about your Parmesan, your eggplant Parmesan that you made for your Valentine's dinner. At some point, we discussed this. Maybe not on this episode. So, like, that's vegan. That's vegan or vegetarian, whatever the difference is. I forget because I'm not. Yeah. I'm an omnivore. I eat everything.
Right.
But I'm not a carnivore. So we'll go with that one. We'll go with the vegetarian.
I think that's closest.
When I go to a climate rally,
next.
I bring A, handmade sign, B, a friend, okay, C, I don't go to rallies, okay, that's more accurate, D, plenty of snacks. I don't go to rallies.
Yeah, I don't go to rallies either. Let's move on.
I got stuff to do, bro.
Right.
If I want a green read, I, A, read the New York Times climate section. B, read Sierra magazine. Remember that this is by the sierraclub.org. C, listen to a podcast instead. D, get the latest green nonfiction bestseller. Well,
you know what's funny? I think if I were to pursue that, I'm really kind of into reading now. So, like, I'd probably get the nonfiction bestseller now. If it were a year ago or two, I would have said a podcast. though.
Well, because I'm almost thinking like ostensibly that like this podcast would be that podcast, right? The Death Plastic Podcast.
It is the Death Plastic.
Listen to the Death Plastic Podcast. Like that's probably where I would lean. But if you want to go with the nonfiction bestseller, we can go that route instead. Because I don't listen to specifically green podcasts either. Really, I listen to entertainment.
But
yeah.
If you were to, like, if you were to like kind of listen into that or look into that, would you personally do a book or a pod about it?
If it were me and I wanted a green thing to consume, I'd probably go the route of podcast.
Let's do podcast then.
Okay.
Because I would definitely not veer away from it. I would definitely listen to that too.
Because I feel like if I started reading about green stuff, I would fall into the malaise of reading it like it was that's the SAT word of the day, everybody.
I like it, yeah.
I'd fall into the malaise, MALAISE. There you go. You're welcome. Anyway.
Could you use it in a sentence, please? I guess you are right now.
Be in the malaise.
Right.
I don't even remember what sentence I was trying to say, but like if I wanted to start reading something green, I think I would start thinking like textbook brain. I'd get bored and like my eyes would glaze over. It. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's a me issue though, not a green read issue. That's a me issue. My water saving habits look like A, I take shorter showers. God, do I not? I take the longest showers. I sit in there until my skin is like melted off. B, I repurpose gray water to water my plants. What's gray water? Gray water is the lightly used water runoff from your bath, shower, or sink. C, I turn off the water when I brush my teeth. Or D, all of the above. I do turn the water off when I brush my teeth. There's no reason to leave it running, really.
I do that too. That's probably most relatable for me.
Yeah, I take
pretty long ass showers too. Yeah.
I love me a long shower. Hate me all you like, but I do turn the water off when I brush my teeth. Mm-hmm. The biggest climate change villain is A, gas guzzling cars. B, the GOP. There it is. There it is. There's the political. There it is. The grand old party.
Yep.
C, everyone. D, the 100 companies responsible for 71% of climate pollution.
There's also a little fact thrown in there. Wow.
I was going to say that one was a weighted answer.
Yes, agreed.
Because when you talk about industrial waste, industry produces a great deal of pollution. Without fact checking this, the 100 companies part, industry produces more pollution than we as consumers individually ever possibly could.
Oh, sure.
So that actually is the answer I'm leaning towards. Because the gas guzzling cars, I think, is what people most commonly would probably say. But I do lean towards industry being a pretty big issue.
Wait, and is the question asking who does it the most?
The biggest climate change villain
biggest, okay,
is how they
the biggest villain.
Label it. Yeah.
Because I think the answer is going to be everyone.
Everyone?
I think so. I think they're trying to make more of just a point in this.
It could be, because I guess in terms of villainy, like, you know, if you want to actually make change, some of these things that we were joking about earlier, like, yeah, or at least I was calling people nerds, and then like the long showers, like it's our collective mental attitude towards conservation is the true villain. Is that what we're gonna do?
I think that's the message, and which I do agree with. Like, we all play a part, no matter how big or small. So I'm gonna say everyone. I feel like that's what the answer is gonna be.
We'll go with everyone. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. Well, I mean, that was the last question.
Okay.
We are what kind of environmentalists are we? The answer is frequently green. You're diligent in taking steps to be green, and you still talk to people who aren't vegans.
Okay.
That's true. I have not cut off my omnivore and carnivore associates, friends, acquaintances is the word I was looking for. Acquaintances and such. Right. I am one myself. I have not gone full vegan.
Nope. Me neither.
That's it. We did it. We are frequently green. Alex, you know what we discovered today? We are frequently green, and we are environmental specialists.
Yeah. We're frequently green environmental specialists.
I think.
Wow, look at us go.
Wow. I didn't know just how much we knew. We are just awesome. That's what this was a confidence boost. This was amazing.
The key takeaway here is that we are awesome.
Yes. That's what I'm taking away from this.
If there's anything to learn from this, it's that we are awesome.
And you can be too. All you have to do to take action and fight the evils of climate destruction is join our Patreon.
I knew it.
/Profoundish. And by donating to our show, you are helping save the world.
Don't make any promises, Weston. Don't make any promises.
And then asterisk, small print, like Profoundish.
By saving the world, we mean just funding our show.
Your money goes directly into the pockets of Weston's Reese's peanut butter cup addiction.
Right.
Nothing else, nothing more.
Right. Small print.
But yeah, if you would like to support the show, patreon.com/, patreon.com/profoundish, not profoundish.com/Patreon. That won't go anywhere.
No, yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Also, if you'd like to support the show, you can do so for free by rating the show 5 stars, a like, a favorite, subscribe, or follow. Any of those things that you can do on your favorite podcasting platform. If you want to follow us individually, Alex, where can we find you?
AlexDuquette.net. It has a ring to it. Follow me there. You can see everything I do. I make medleys, music videos. I make music in general. So I have an album out called Songs from Sangamon Street. Check that out as well. And I do video game soundtrack retrospectives, long form video essays. So check that out too. It's called VGM Quest. What about you, Weston?
You can find me on westonhasty.com. That's my website and landing page for all the things that I do. If you want to come hang out and just enjoy video games with me, like those arcade games, maybe I'll do that on the channel or something. On YouTube, the name is Magic Man Mo. YouTube.com/@MagicManMo. The little @ symbol. I don't know how to say @ symbol in a way that like sounds good. You know what I mean? I don't want to say like AT @. It's not ATMAG blah blah blah. It's the @ symbol, Magic Man Mo. Anyway,
right.
Come hang out. Say hi to me on Twitter @Weston Hasty. I'll ask who are you, and then you can follow me, and I'll follow you back, and then we'll just be friends forever.
And if you're a Spotify listener, just once again, we have these little polls that we put up. We would love to hear your thoughts. We always ask questions in our polls. So make sure right when you're done listening to this, head down to the bottom of the episode in the Spotify app and answer our questions because we'll read it on the next episode.
We'll read it and weep.
One of us will weep. The other will just read again. We don't know who's going to be who, though.
That's been our show. Thank you all so much for listening or potentially watching. Profoundish. Excuse me, I mean Death Plastic.
Death Plastic.
I hope to see you in the next one. And until next time, bye right.
All right.